Flying Casuals brought to you by Patreon supporters Brent, Kelly Breckner, Jory Webb, Wes Anderson, David Bush, and Nate Edison. May the Force be with you.
You're listening to Flying Casual, a Star Wars podcast. Here's your host, Michael Canterbury.
Casual fam, welcome to another week of Flying Casual, a Star Wars podcast. Happy week whatever in self-isolation. Holly, you haven't killed me yet.
Not yet. Close.
Not yet. Close.
Yeah. So far, so good.
So far, so good. You did bring up a great point. You coughed on the microphone when we were muted and said we might want to sterilize that. Should I be concerned?
I'm like at that point where I think it's just allergies.
That's what everyone says, but yeah.
But then I'm like, is it allergies or is it something more sinister?
It could be. It could be. I mean, you are sounding a little nasally. That could just be all of the dust from the flooring that we inhaled today. Ugh. If we don't die of coronavirus, we'll definitely die of whatever, glue, wood combination they have going on in that flooring.
First of all, don't put that on us.
Well,
not good.
No, it's not. But let's be honest. We probably should have been wearing a mask for that. But we are still waiting for Wade to send us those. Well, he has sent those. Those are coming through the mail. So we probably could have used those today, to be honest. And then tomorrow for shopping, for groceries.
Just to clarify, it's only groceries.
Only grocery shopping. No, it's not like Mike's going on a Black Series run here or something. But, well, thanks for the heads up, Holly. We will be burning this pop filter, so I appreciate that. Luke, we've got you here. Are you feeling healthy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Feeling pretty good. I got good supply of beer.
Let's go.
So can't be too bad.
Yeah, I'm very jealous. Luke has been sending us pictures of his Wolf's Ridge deliveries, and I'm really wishing we could be hanging out in person right now. Pretty
That's
jealous.
True. I have more variety on stock than I've ever had because right now my purchasing is outpacing my consuming. But, trying to keep the local breweries busy.
That's right. Well, you're
You got
becoming
it.
a Prime customer, I think, probably. Like, if they have a Prime aspect in their delivery, you're probably now it. And they're like, give him the best we have, so he keeps purchasing.
He's
I
an
hope so.
investor.
But soon the wife's just going to open the fridge. It's going to be full of beer. And she's like, we can't survive on this. How's the baby supposed to survive?
Not.
I mean, yeah.
Not on beer.
It may come to that. My family has, sent them really awesome pictures. And we mentioned the flooring, Holly. This is an announcement, I feel. The floor is done, mostly.
Ish.
We're in the studio right now, the new studio, sans baseboards, but the flooring is done. So could not be more excited. So excited that we sent pictures to our family. And what did my family respond with? That's great, but did you get toilet paper? And no, we haven't. But luckily, we actually ran to see my family Saturday to borrow a tool and walked out, two rolls of toilet paper richer. Which was really lovely of them.
Yeah, that's hot currency right now, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Toilet
Yeah.
paper.
Well, I made you kind of hide them like in your your jacket because people can't see us leaving the house with that,
Sprint to the car.
Yeah, the oscillating tool and two rolls of toilet paper.
Are there like scores of people out there now sleeping on rolls of toilet paper, like
Beds.
Scrooge McDuck, like swimming
Wow.
through it? The people who hoarded it all.
Well, no, they're making videos of their dogs jumping over them in doorways, which is really pissing me off.
Well, what they're doing then, they're putting in the comments, and they're like, don't come at me about my
Yeah,
toilet
don't
paper.
at
I
me."
have a family of 15.
Wow.
Why do you have a family of
That's
15?
the bigger question. Like, why are there so many asses to wipe in that household?
Oh,
You know what
God.
I'm saying? Like, geez.
Must be all the dogs.
Luke's like, hey, guys, that's my 15-year plan, okay? Like, we've got a few more coming.
A child a year.
That would be Luke, is that even possible? I mean, I think, are you guys tapped out at 2 or you want to go to 15? Sky's the limit.
Yeah, it's not medically advisable, I don't think.
I think you're right.
We're going to have to talk to your wife sometime, and I'm sure she'll put a big kibosh to that.
Yeah. It's
real
probably not
quickly.
financially advisable either.
No, not especially not
How
when
do
we're
you
going to a
pay?
recession.
And
Yeah.
how do you pay for college tuition for 15 children?
I mean, if you have that much toilet paper in your house, I can't do the math off the top of my head, but I don't know how you're saving for college and buying so much toilet paper and other things for these children. I just...
That's a great point.
I mean, who was the big family that we had the television? The Duggars, right?
Oh, yeah.
That maybe it's that family.
I thought it was like the Octomom. What was her?
I don't know. There's been a few of them.
We don't know our reality TV
It's
shows.
pretty crazy. I don't know. Maybe we have some folks in the casual fam there in the group that have, 15 or so kids. Let us know how you're doing in this crisis, because I can only imagine it's pretty crazy.
You and your village of children.
Put them to work, maybe they're all out shopping separately. I don't know.
Kind of feels
crazy.
like Children of the Corn.
Wow.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe.
Speaking of the
Picking
group,
field corn.
Ew.
Yeah, go ahead, Holly.
corn-made toilet paper. Okay, I'm done.
That's a possibility,
yeah.
We're making a lot of stuff, out of toilet paper now. Okay, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, just to give everybody an update,
Come on.
because I'm taking my time.
Yes,
through
you
this. You don't even know what I'm going to talk about.
It's not a toilet paper announcement.
It
I
is
do
not.
know that.
In the group, Wade recently finished watching Rebels
Come on.
and posted about it. And then we were kind of talking about Rebels when we were doing the casual council. And so today, when I
Yeah.
got so angry about the floor, I was like, forget it.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on the friggin' couch.
Let's go.
And I'm watching Rebels.
3 episodes.
3 episodes. I have
great,
3
right?
episodes of Rebels, and I'm almost done with season 3.
Yeah.
So there was a lot going on.
How great was that?
It was fantastic. I probably could have sat there all day.
Yeah.
I think Michael got sick of my commentary.
No, not really. I was just like, we probably should wrap this up and get back to the floor. And you're like, I want to watch another one. And I get it, because we were watching Sabine with the Darksaber. Really, remember that emotional part, Luke, where she's just kind of training with Kanan and yelling at him, and she's lost her family. And oh my God. I was about crying.
Yeah. My favorite part of that episode is when she goes off alone and she has her own moment to kind of like
Yeah.
recover from training with Kanan,
Yeah.
and you just see her getting upset, and then the Bindu like
Ooh.
turns and like watches her walk away.
Yeah.
I just have to say I love the Bindu. He might be my
great.
favorite.
So great.
Maybe
so
one of my
mysterious.
favorites. I know I need more.
Yeah, I mean, when we discuss force wielders, I mean, we don't really talk about the Bendu, but I mean, it seems pretty powerful.
Actually my favorite.
We could probably
Just
use some more Bendu.
so wise.
Is it
He
because
is.
he looks like a moose?
It could be.
Is that why you have such an
That's
affinity?
a great point. That's a great point, Luke. He really is like a moose, mountain hybrid.
But what's wrong with that? Nothing.
I think you're somewhat of a moose mountain hybrid, pretty rugged and
But smaller.
no antlers, but I can see it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, you're wise,
peaks.
strong.
Sure.
No tall peaks. That sounded really bad. Can't believe you said that. That's recorded. Can't go back now. We don't edit podcasts. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm glad we finally got back into that Rebels, which
know what?
was really fun. Yeah.
This is what I would like you
Come
guys.
on.
I would like more shows
Yes.
or content, let's say more content
Okay.
about force wielding creatures
Ooh.
other than human like.
Oh, you mean like the Caravan of Courage?
No,
Oh.
actually the opposite of that.
Well, not why.
Better
Why?
quality maybe.
Well, yes, but you have these characters. You have the Ewoks and their magic. They're magic rocks and sticks, right, Luke? I mean, let's go. You have witches, Night Sisters,
true.
in my opinion.
That's
I'm sorry,
true.
you
The
just
Night
do.
Sisters are awesome.
Yes.
I would love more. That's the last spot that I got to on Fallen Order.
Come on.
If you haven't made it up to
Oh,
all
spoiler
the
alert
planets
for
on
me,
Fallen Order,
yeah.
well, everyone knows you can go to Dathomir and Fallen Order. So,
For me.
but you go
Yeah.
there and you encounter the Night Sisters, and they're pretty badass.
They are.
I have to say,
They really are. God.
super cool.
Yeah, I'll say, Wade and his daughter challenged me to finish that, and I there was so much flooring happening right now, Wade. It wasn't going to get done. But now when we get a TV mounted up here, I might be gaming in the loft. We'll see. But it's going to get done. Got to finish it.
Gotta.
I'm thinking tomorrow, clock out from work, on to Fallen Order.
Clock into Fallen Order.
Please, yes, seriously. And now I have the PlayStation camera and everything. Guys, I'm ready to stream. And I need people to join along with me and encourage me and to keep me from swearing. I really need an audience, so I'm doing my best to hold it in.
I encourage that, so I guess I am not the
but
audience.
on
that you
YouTube, you probably shouldn't.
Well, but here's the thing. When we're done with the isolation, hopefully, I'm trying to be optimistic. It will
Easter.
I don't think I'm that optimistic.
Okay.
That's next week.
Hey, that's what the commander-in-chief said, so let's go.
Theoretically, we would have Luke here,
and
then he could help you curb the cursing.
That's true. I don't know. Sometimes Luke and I get a little filthy mouth. That sounded really wrong. And
you thought my peaks were bad.
Wow. It's just really gone downhill at this point, but that was really funny. But yeah, I'm thinking we'll just, we'll all, take our temperature. We've been isolated for a long time. I think it's time we all can hang out. I think Luke just needs to come over and no one's been around. The wife can be assured that he's corona free. Oh. Well, besides the corona that he's going to ingest. Yes.
I have an idea.
Yes.
Have you guys seen Bubble Boy?
Oh, yeah.
We just need to wrap him up and roll him down the 8-minute drive, right?
A giant beach ball.
That would be great.
With Luke inside. You
could
deflate it.
Who was in Bubble? Was it Jake Gyllenhaal?
Was that?
If it was probably his finest piece.
No, it can't be. But for some reason, Jake Gyllenhaal's in my head now. But that can't be him. Who was that guy?
Oh my God, I don't know.
Somebody needs to look that up.
I wish it were Jake Gyllenhaal.
I'm looking it up.
God, Bubble Boy, we can make that happen.
We absolutely could.
Or at least, a mask or something.
Oh yeah, it was Jake Gyllenhaal.
Was he the Bubble Boy?
Nice.
Yeah, he was the Bubble Boy.
What the hell was he doing in that?
His mom put him there. Oh, not actually.
He's got a goofy haircut in it. It's so great.
His mom's like, you will be doing this movie.
You have to play Bubble Boy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I hope there's been like a resurgence in people watching this movie around this time. It would make sense.
Well, now we have to.
What year did that come out?
2001, I think.
Oh
yeah,
my
2000.
God.
See, he was doing weird movies then anyway. He did like Donnie Darko around that time, and that movie was so bizarre.
But it's better than Bubble Boy. Had to be.
Yeah, it wasn't like slapstick goofy.
Oh my God. I expected more of Jake Gyllenhaal. But we'll go with that theme. Maybe if we can reassure the missus enough that she can trust that he come over here. The only thing I'll wipe the beer down, that he's gonna have in hand. And we haven't been around anyone, so we'll see.
You could buy a bubble.
How much? How much is a bubble?
Walmart.
At Walmart.
Wow, probably $1,000.
I don't know if it's totally sterile or what, but you can get an inflatable bumper ball bubble.
Jesus.
For like $100 at Walmart.
Oh, those are the ones that people like get inside of and like run around on the lake. You can like
wow.
No,
so we can use this after the crisis.
Yes.
Like a gerbil.
Yes.
And we're just planning for summertime. So I mean I'm down.
Listen. Yeah. Everyone's got to go to the beach at some point. Yeah. So if you all go in the bubble, everyone will be fine.
Yeah. And here's the thing. We can podcast in masks.
Yeah.
It may sound a little muffled, but we can do it, right?
But
yeah.
Also,
it's a really great opening, by the way. Loving the conversation.
But concept, how about people who, like you said about yourself, that's a problem you have with The Mandalorian, is that you like to read lips when people are talking.
That's a great point. But here's the really great thing. I can hear you guys directly in my ears, which is great. So I don't necessarily have to watch your mouth phrasing, but I can hear you so much better. So with The Mandalorian, I couldn't hear anything that's going on. You can crank it, I couldn't hear anything. But here, it's right here. So we are good. So we're gonna figure this out, guys. I mean, Skype's fine, but he needs to bring over some brews and we're gonna enjoy a little podcasting. Probably watch Clone Wars.
Yeah. So we'll live stream everybody gaming from a bubble.
Absolutely. Wow. Yes, please. That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. We'll make it happen.
Well, thank God for wireless
saran
controllers.
Wrap myself.
Oh, that sounds like a bad idea.
Well, we'll make it happen. Holly, I have to ask you. You posted a poll in the group. Let's just get the house. Did you hear the owl outside? I really hope you guys heard that.
I don't think that's an owl. I think it's like a werewolf.
No, that was an owl. We have an owl here in our backyard, and he likes to hoot and hoot and hoot. And that was great. I hope that picked that up. Anyway, you posted a poll.
I did.
On the group. And now I got to push you because, I asked you today, hey, you going to post to the group telling what book you chose?
And then Luke brought it up.
And then Luke brought it up. Everyone's asking. And Holly's just, I don't know why Holly is delaying the process, but she is, guys. So, Holly, have you decided on next month's book? Or should I say April's book?
It really wasn't even just me who decided. It was the collective Flying Casual fam.
Yeah. So no April Fool's joke here. This was not a thing.
We're past that.
Oh, did you post that on April Fool's?
No.
Okay.
Well, maybe. Not on purpose.
Not intentionally.
It wasn't a thing. So we're going to be reading Bloodline.
Oh, let's go. Let's go. That's a good one.
That's right.
Holy shnikes. That's a really good one.
I think that 5 or 6 people voted for that one.
Yeah. It's a really great one.
So that's going to be the April book.
Okay, guys, you heard it here. Get Bloodlines. I know a lot of you guys have probably actually read it, so I'm really interested to see what more of you guys have to say. So,
and if you haven't, then you probably have time to.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, a lot of at-home time now. Pick up a book. Get the audio book. Mow your grass, sweep your floors, whatever you got to do. Get that book read. Especially you patrons, be ready for that book club. We'll announce the date here soon. So just needed to put Holly on the spot there, so we got an answer. So you guys were ready. Starting Monday morning with Bloodline. Other housewarming, Holly.
Housewarming.
Whoa. Hello.
Who'd you get a gift for? Hopefully me. It was the floor in the loft.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I did half the work, but sometimes you have to treat yourself.
Treat yourself. We've been treating ourselves for a while. But Holly, we got an email from Brent. And guys, we're going to talk about Clone Wars, the most recent episode. We're also going to talk about issue 4 of the Star Wars mainline comic. We're going to get to those in a second, but I want to read Brent's email. And with the information we also just recently received about the Kenobi series, I want us to kind of take all of that together and kind of let's talk about it a little more. So if you don't mind, Brent sent us a lovely email.
He did.
He was thinking about the Kenobi show. Is that what it's called? Who knows? We'll find out.
We have an idea. Well, we heard from a little birdie something.
We did.
But anyway.
We did.
Okay. Brent says, hello there, Michael, Holly, Luke, and the rest of the Flying Casual family. Hello.
Hello.
Prior to the Casual Council meeting, I hadn't given much thought to the upcoming Kenobi series other than I did not want to see any interaction between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader.
I feel you.
But as often happens with me in Star Wars, a seed gets planted and ideas begin to grow. He has some good ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. It was lovely. I just got to say, it was lovely having him and David finally on the Casual Council. That was a treat. And boy, Skype is tough with a lot of people on there, but we figured it out.
It was a good time.
Go ahead.
So here's some wild speculation on what I might like to see go down. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I would like to see the timeline of the first season. Yes, I know only one is slated, but I'm hopeful it's well received and maybe we get 2 to 3 seasons.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah?
The first season should take place immediately after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Even show the handoff between Obi-Wan and Owen and Beru.
Yeah.
And him explaining the situation.
That'd be sick.
Then get into Obi-Wan's brain. How the loss of Anakin and his brother, he called him, affected him. Get into his training and become one with the Force, his conversations with Qui-Gon. Get into his struggles to train Luke.
Yeah.
His only Padawan, Anakin, fell to the dark side, and how this would impact his psyche and willingness to train everyone else.
Yeah.
Finish off the season with Obi-Wan accepting that Luke must be trained and preparing to take Luke from Lars's the next day when he has a vision of Vader and Palpatine standing over Luke.
I love that. I love that idea.
Watching the Emperor blast him with Force lightning like in Return of the Jedi, heck, even use the footage, but misinterpreting the vision, much like Qui-Gon in Master and Apprentice.
Yep.
Haven't read it yet.
It's okay.
And then not training him. Leaving him to be raised by Owen and Beru, leading to the situation in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Is he writing the show? I mean, he's got it
he could
down.
be, and I would love it if he was.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
There are rumors starting to circulate that Kenobi now has a new writer. So Dave and Kathleen, if you're listening and it doesn't work out, get in contact with Mike and Holly,
And
they'll put you into contact with me, and we can talk.
They're listening. That's right. We have his information. We can get in touch, him in touch with your people, get in touch with his people. We can do that, and they are listening. FYI.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
They love this podcast.
They do. They
Fully
actually asked me to send them a T-shirt. Kathy, it's coming. I feel like we're on a first name basis now at this point. So
I think she'll probably wear it at Celebration, so you guys will see it.
Can you imagine?
Do
I just send one to Skywalker Ranch and see who wears it?
Put ourselves out there.
No, I'm serious. Is that what we do?
I think so.
I think we're probably going to do that. That's going to happen.
Brent says, hope everyone is staying safe out there. May the force be with you all.
Absolutely.
You too, Brent.
I love Brent's, ideas. I love hearing from him. Super, intelligent guy. Love Star Wars. I love it. And I love that he's talking about Brew and Owen and interactions with Obi-Wan. They had to have had interactions.
Yeah, I like how he said show the handoff between them and Obi-Wan explaining the situation. How would you explain that situation? Yeah,
Luke, what do you like that Brent's throwing down? I mean, I hadn't even really thought about him sitting down, with the Lars family and giving them a little background as to what's happening. Or is he going to tell them much other than like, this is, your family and you need to raise this child now? What should we expect in those interactions and anything else Brent said?
Yeah, I think that's really fun stuff to play with creatively. Is how do we get to the point in episode 4 where Uncle Owen is, quite dismissive of Obi-Wan, old Ben Kenobi, that he's crazy old wizard. And how much does Owen and how much does Brew as well know about everything? How much were they told?
Yeah.
When Obi-Wan hands Luke off to them, that's never completely fleshed out that I know of. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting. Like maybe it could be a cool storyline. Like, okay, Obi-Wan gives them the kid. Like something happened to Anakin and Padme. It wasn't good. They're gone. We need you to raise them, please.
Yeah.
And they agree, but then he doesn't really tell them the whole story, the whole like Vader thing.
Yeah.
And then they come to like learn about it somehow. And they're like, dude, you left this kid with us.
That was a big part you left
Vader.
out.
you left that part out, man. What's the deal? So that's an interesting idea to toy with. I would be shocked if it was that tight of a timeline in terms of picking up from that moment where he hands baby Luke off. Maybe that image could be shown just as kind of like all right, get you in the right mindset for where this is going. But usually with all these stories, they're quite hesitant to pick up right off the back of something else.
Yeah.
You think it was so startling for The Last Jedi to do that because nothing in Star Wars had ever done that. It literally picks up, basically from the moment that The Force Awakens ends. And I think to some degree it hamstrung The Last Jedi a little bit doing that. As much as I am an advocate for that movie, and it's one of my most enjoyable ones, it maybe was hurt a bit by the fact that it basically was The Force Awakens Part 2 rather than its own movie in certain ways.
Yeah, and I agree. It definitely, there's issues with starting something and picking up right where we left off, previously. The one time they did it was really effective was the second Darth Vader line, where we literally go from Vader saying no with Palpatine to what happens next. Vader has to go out. He has to find a kyber crystal. He goes through all these trials. He fights an old Jedi master. Like, it's freaking epic, and it
in the
works
comics,
for me.
right?
In the comics, yeah.
And the comics do this a lot more. I think it's
exactly.
It's easier for them to do it. Yeah.
And I feel like we can do that here because one thing that I really loved, and we've been saying this for a while, and Brent feels the same way. Like, I want to see the turmoil that Obi-Wan is going through, and we saw that in the Vader line with Vader. We see him, approaching the Emperor, and he has a moment that he can, continue his destiny as the Emperor's, man, or he could destroy him. And we see a vision of his mind of him destroying the Emperor. And once he does that, he goes and visits Obi-Wan on Tatooine, and like Obi-Wan's just like sitting on the side of this cliff or whatever, and Anakin walks up behind him and just says "Master," and calls to him. And then that's the end of the scene. And it's freaking phenomenal. And it's a comic book. And that's why that comic line was so effective. And I love that they filled in that time and they showed the struggles Anakin was going, or Anakin and Vader were going through. And I would love to see that from, Obi-Wan's perspective. And does he have visions? I love that Brent said that, having visions of the future. Speaking of the comic book that we read, the main line, Luke had visions. Some of them, misinterpreted maybe. And I love that we could see Obi-Wan grappling with that and digging into the Force a little more, especially with maybe some Yoda interaction, because we know they're conversing, right? I mean, from a certain point of view, we know both of them have been chatting about who's, the chosen one. So not the chosen one, but who's ready to step up and save the galaxy, Luke or Leia. So they've been talking about it, and I feel like this could be ripe opportunity, especially when you have Ewan McGregor there. And let's show him age a little bit. Let's show him as that young Obi-Wan and how he's progressing and becoming even more of a hermit. But I would love to know how much influence is he having over Luke's upbringing? Are the Lars family, like Luke said, are they going to get shocked and be like, wait a second? You're saying that our family became Darth Vader, and now you're bringing his son here? What the hell? And Obi-Wan's like, no, it's cool. I promise. If anything comes down, I'll chop his head off or something.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. It's cool. Like, what? How are they going to process that? Or does Obi-Wan say it's too important, to share this even with his family? We're just going to say this is this is an abandoned child that you need to raise. Holly, what do you want out of this series?
I don't know, because I have learned with Star Wars to limit my expectations.
That's right.
Going into something new.
Speculate responsibly.
That's right.
That's right.
I really like Obi-Wan. I think that he's one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars universe. So I think that I would be thrilled with it going whichever way, especially with Ewan McGregor being Obi-Wan. I feel like he knows, out of anybody else, he knows how to handle that character.
That's right.
So I don't really feel like, I don't know. I didn't really think about this the way that Brent phrased it.
Yeah.
I wasn't really sure what we were going to get, but I do like where we're going with this. So I think that there's a lot of different interesting takes that we can get. Because
we don't need to go off world, right? Like we don't need those adventures. I feel like there's so much drama and emotion packed in with these characters that we know and love. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily need to go out and slay monsters and the other thing is that Darth Vader line for me is so emotional at times, and how much Anakin is dealing with all of this. I feel like Obi-Wan is on the opposite side there dealing with it, and for him to just kind of be out, and I guess Anakin goes through some things. He fights a Jedi master, like he fights. There is conflict, but he's also dealing with what's going on the inside. And I feel like Ewan McGregor will do an amazing job with that. And I would love, even if it's a couple seasons, or no, this is one season, right?
Well, that's
what we've heard. It's 6 episodes.
But like Brent said, who knows? It could be very well received, and people want more.
That's true.
We are hungry fans.
That's true, but I'm going to be honest. This is one thing. I always want more Star Wars, but as fantastic as Obi-Wan is, he has dominated Star Wars for some time. So I think you got to cap this, and you got to tell us the most raw and emotional story of Obi-Wan and fill in that time, and then we move on with the story.
Well, because there has to be so much inner turmoil that we don't really get to see anyway, because Obi-Wan he's really lost everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have the Jedi Order anymore. He doesn't have his apprentice.
Yeah.
He doesn't have, like Brent said, is who he considers him his brother. He doesn't have him anymore.
Yeah.
We don't really see Obi-Wan, have any family or any close friends. Not that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's we don't really know any of the relationships Obi-Wan has outside of him and Anakin.
Yeah.
And Qui-Gon, I guess.
And that's a great. And he's lost so many people, not to mention the whole council, like all of the Jedi, and like he's grappling with the mistakes the Jedi made too, right? And I mean, and I just picture, he's struggling with this training that Yoda wants him to take on. Like, what's the point? Because as hopeful as Obi-Wan seems when he meets up with Luke, I don't know. There's definitely some conflict in him and some mistrust and just, I don't know. I can picture, flashbacks of Anakin and I hate you, like just tormenting him. And so I'm so looking forward to this. Cap it off at 6 episodes for me. Maybe you guys want more, but I really want an emotional Obi-Wan. That's I've been saying it for a while, but Holly, we found out some news, and what I just said could be completely wrong now after hearing the news. Star Wars Newsnet has a story out, which those guys they're pretty right a lot of the time. I got to be honest. So we may or may not have a teased running title right now.
Luke, you ready for this? So this is straight from Star Wars Newsnet.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read it.
Yep.
They have an article under TV shows titled Working Title of Untitled Kenobi Disney Plus Series Revealed.
Yeah.
Very straightforward. There is an entertainment news network called HN Entertainment, which, to be honest, I have never heard of until right now.
Yeah.
And they have come out and said the working title of the untitled Kenobi series will be Pilgrim.
A working title, and that's something you gotta remember. That's just a working title. It could literally just be because Alec Guinness and robes kind of look like some pilgrim, and that's what we're using here.
Now, I would like to remind you guys, they do put in this article some of the working titles of previous movies that have already come out. Well, let me share with you. Blue Harvest was a working title of Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
Very funny, Red Cup.
Yes,
for Solo.
Yeah, exactly.
Trixie, Rise of the Skywalker.
Yeah.
Space Bear for The Last Jedi. The Beginning, The Dollhouse, The Phantom Menace. This is one of my favorites other than Red Cup. Jar Jar's Big Adventure, which was another name for Attack of the Clones.
That might be a Disney Plus special that we get
Jar
in the
Jar's
future.
Big Adventure.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's anybody's guess. It could just be a joke for them.
I think that's what
Who
it
knows?
is. I mean, you've seen some of the art, the fan art, or of Obi-Wan even after all of this goes down. He's got his robe on, but he's got some of his Clone Wars armor, and he's got a pack. Like he looks like he's on a pilgrimage almost. So I think it's just poking fun here. Luke, what do you take from this?
Well, first the article. I wonder. I'm no Hollywood insider, but I wonder if they're confusing sort of production code names with working titles, because those you just listed about, Red Cup and Blue Harvest and all that, I understood those to be, they give code names for production code names for high profile movies. So not everything that comes across anybody's view or desk has the word Star Wars Episode 9 on it.
Yeah.
It's got something more obscure and I don't really know what this is. They don't want people to be too closely involved if they're not directly in the production. So working title, that phrase to me is more about what the actual show is about rather than production code name, which they haven't even started filming yet, would be kind of irrelevant at this point.
Yeah.
So I take it more as talking about likely what the theme of the show is.
Yeah.
And pilgrim to me, you think of like a religious pilgrim, and going, when people take a religious pilgrimage, usually it's to a certain site about like the origin of their religion or something very critical to their faith, their theology. So Brent brought up some Star Wars rhyming echoes in the Casual Council episode that I really enjoyed and got my mind thinking about more of those echoes and those rhymes. So I can see it mirroring what Luke is experiencing between Return of the Jedi and the sequel trilogy where he is basically one of the only Jedi left, and he has to go and research the roots of what the Jedi are,
Yeah.
what their theology is, what their practice was at its deepest core, to try to understand it and reforge and make a path forward. And basically, Obi-Wan and Yoda are kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
At that point, if this is taking place, before the original trilogy, there's other Jedi floating out there that we have in extended canon and survivors of Order 66 and Ahsoka and all that. But really, there is no establishment Jedi Order remaining. So it's, okay, if this mega organization you're a part of is all of a sudden wiped off the map, and then you just dig into what was this organization about at its core, its origin, let me dig into understand and find that. So like him going off to some ancient Jedi site, something like that.
And I love that idea of not going off, fighting monsters and stuff, like maybe some of the legend stuff we kind of hear about, but really trying to understand what's my purpose now. If the Jedi didn't handle things well, what exactly should I do? Because he's a reasonable, Jedi, so to speak. He's dabbled in, not the dark side, but he's dabbled in things outside the Order, and he's turned a blind eye maybe to Anakin's issues. So he's more open to the understanding and things like that. But I'm looking at even maybe a different side, a different point of view, so to speak. What if he is? I mean, what really does he know about the Sith? Right? He's encountered Maul at one point, and he lost his. He's fought Dooku and Anakin, but like, I bet he has questions. My brother, I've lost him. Do we think that Obi-Wan could even be thinking, how do I bring him back?
I think so.
At this point, Holly?
Yeah, I think so. I also think, like, kind of Luke got me thinking when he was talking about, like, pilgrimage to him. I mean,
yeah,
it could be that, like, also emotional or spiritual pilgrimage to think about things like that.
Yeah.
Where did the Jedi go wrong? Where did I go wrong? Is there a way for me to fix this?
Yeah.
And if so, I think that would entail him reaching back out to, Darth Vader, I guess now, to try to bring Anakin back, to try to turn him back, right?
Yeah. I'm okay with him going off world if we're going to get really deep in the philosophy of the Jedi and the Sith and what made Anakin turn. Like, you trained him so well, and this idea of the chosen one, he believed in it until the day he turned. You were the chosen one, and you were to bring balance to the Force and destroy the evil, and that didn't go out as he saw, planned. So is he still think right now that Anakin was the chosen one and all is lost? Or, Luke is their only hope then? But did he really believe that? Did he really believe Anakin was lost? It seems like he did in episode 4, but maybe something changed. Maybe he had a conversation with someone and understood the Sith a little better. And it really took, Luke, the love of his father and their family to really turn him. I don't know, but I would love for him to just gain a better understanding of all of it, because I can imagine he's super confused, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure he doubts himself a lot now too. Like I wasn't ready for that responsibility, and there's a lot going on in the Clone Wars. There wasn't a lot of teaching opportunity there. And he's a little hot-headed kid, but like I feel like I'm second guessing myself. Am I even cut out for this?
But I feel like that is a common theme with Jedi that we see. We see bad things happen to them, and then we see them retreat.
Absolutely.
We see them, kind of become more recluse.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it with Yoda. We saw it
Ultimate recluse. I mean, he's out there in the hills, just kind of woo.
But we saw it with Luke in
Yeah.
the most recent trilogy, and I mean, now I think we're gonna possibly get the opportunity to dig in a little bit deeper and see it even more so with Obi-Wan.
Absolutely.
But I just feel like that's a common theme that we see.
Yeah. God, if we don't see Yoda also in this series, them conversing, come on.
Qui-Gon.
and Qui-Gon. These are opportunities to bring back these beloved characters, right?
sure.
Fill in this time. Let's see Qui-Gon. Let's see Yoda. How are they conversing? Is Obi-Wan going to have to go to that kind of mysterious, weird place from the Clone Wars that Yoda had to go to? I can't even remember what that was about, but it could get a little weird, but he has training to do. Yoda said that. Training for you I have in isolation or exile, whatever he calls it. So I can't wait for it. They need to, get this thing done, get it produced, and we have a new writer, right, Holly?
Yes.
Do you remember the name of that writer?
The new writer is Joby Harold.
Joby Harold.
He probably is most known for the 2017 King Arthur.
King Arthur.
I
never saw it.
it.
Nope. I mean, if it's King Arthur with what's her face? That's awesome. Which was not 2017. It was way before then.
Yeah.
I'd be cool with it, but no, I never saw this one. But new writer, we haven't shot anything. I don't feel like there's a ton of concern right now, but you have kind of the naysayers saying, what are you talking about? This is classic Star Wars. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Got to have faith. I think this is a story that is rich in Star Wars lore, and I think they just want to get it right because this is a farewell to Ewan McGregor, I feel. So
Yeah.
they want to get it right. This is going to be a big hit for them. So, and we need more content on Star Wars or on Disney Plus. So have faith, everyone. I think it's going to work out great. But we have faith in this gentleman, I guess, to write us a good script.
I guess. I don't
Hope
really
so.
know a lot about him, and I have not seen anything that
Yeah.
he has written, at
Not
least
one.
not to my knowledge.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So cannot wait for that, guys. Brent, that was an awesome email. Thanks again for that. Now, I know a lot of you guys are caught up on Clone Wars. Hopefully you are. Does anyone recall what the title of this most recent episode was?
Gosh. Luke?
Something dark side? I don't know.
Don't have it off the top of my head.
I can't remember, but it's we're over halfway through now, episode 7 of season 7. I really enjoyed this episode, guys. I'm gonna come out and say it up front. I enjoyed it because we're a lot of Ahsoka action, obviously, and she kicks a lot of butt. What was the title?
Dangerous Debt.
Dangerous Debt. So we kind of had an idea where we're going just based on the title. But I love the action with Ahsoka. Ahsoka whooped a lot of butt in this episode, Holly. And there was a point where she was surrounded by like 7 pikes. And Holly just goes, why is she getting her ass kicked? I was like, Holly, there's 7 pikes around her. And then she just whoops all of them. It was fantastic.
That's the Ahsoka that I was missing.
It was great, right? And it was fun seeing them escape, and we see Ahsoka, it reminded me a lot of her novel, hiding her force powers, using them at opportune moments, but
spoilers.
keeping them, contained to the public. But in the end, they're right back where they started. Now, this prison break, they use it as an opportunity to introduce the Mandalorians back into the game. They see Ahsoka. They're like, she could be of use to our cause. We have shared, interests. But then they're back in prison with, the Pike prison. Holly, what did you think of the episode?
I don't know. There were parts of it that I really liked, and then other ones that I was not a huge fan of.
Yeah.
But I didn't really love seeing them get put back where they were, and I'm just waiting for Ahsoka to reveal herself to them, because I think something important that we learned in this episode is why the two sisters are the way that they are.
That was very important.
And there was a point where, what's her name, Rafa?
Yeah.
She was describing a Jedi who came back to her after her parents died and, said, like, I did what I had to do, but the Force will be with you. And she described what this Jedi looked like.
Yeah.
She said that she had green skin and blue eyes.
And a
Is that what she said?
robe. And
a robe. And I think I said to Michael, I was like, do you know who she's describing?
Can't recall.
I don't know.
Luke, you recall that moment from the episode, and it takes us back to the Clone Wars, I imagine, and maybe you recall that scene. I meant to go back and see if was Ahsoka a part of that, little incident there. I can't even remember what happened, but what did you think of that moment?
I really enjoyed the episode altogether, because it had a lot of points that reminded me of other things I love.
Yeah.
Uh, the Pikes Obadiah planet. There's another episode of Clone Wars. It's one of my favorite ones where Obi-Wan and Anakin end up there as they're trailing what happened to Sifo Dyas.
Yeah.
And I really love that. And I love the connection with Kessel and Pike, like I mentioned on the last episode, because of the connection to the Solo movie. So all of that, was really enjoyable for me, and to see those connections. And I was trying to find what the title of that other Clone Wars episode is. And so I didn't catch your entire train of thought.
No, you're good. No,
honestly,
that's what I was.
I might have just taken it in a different direction, but
no, that's what I was because Ahsoka obviously is affected by that moment that they're telling about. Like, I cannot believe like the Jedi seemed so careless with what was going on around them just for the sake of ending this conflict. Right? They didn't have a lot of regard for those around them, and so I understood why Ahsoka was so affected. But I'm like, I feel like she was involved in that moment. And I don't recall that moment specifically, but maybe she wasn't.
They said it was when Zero kind of
ago.
like.
Yes, that's right.
What he like stole a shit. No, it wasn't that. Anyway, the Jedi went after him, and then they basically caused a huge scene and killed people.
Yeah.
Just to try to catch Zero, and then they ended up not even being able to catch him.
Yeah, and then, and we're very callous about, hey, well, the Force will always be with you, so sorry about your family.
Right.
Which,
exactly.
Yeah, and I couldn't figure out if that was actually in an episode.
Yeah.
And I was wondering the same thing, and I didn't get a chance to track it down. But the episode I was thinking of is called The Lost One, where they end up on Obadiah 2, Anakin and Obi-Wan do, trying to track down Sifo Dyas. But yeah, I'd love to find out if I don't recall Zero the Hutt. It said he escaped from prison in the episode.
Yeah.
When they were describing the story that he escaped from prison and the Jedi were trailing him. And I think the Jedi that she referenced that they talked to might have been Luminara, who was Kanan's master, because they said she had green skin.
Yeah.
And she's one of the more prominent ones I can think of.
And she wears a dark robe.
Oh, and she wasn't Kanan's master, but there's that episode of Rebels where they try to track her down because they think she's still alive, and it's a trap by the Imperials. And so yeah, it was all like a cool story and background for those two new characters we've met.
Yeah, it was more Ahsoka just like her eyes being open to issues of the Jedi and Upper Coruscant and those people, that lifestyle that she loved and appreciated, and finding out that not all of it was fantastic, and people were really affected by what appears to just be some chase, and we all kind of look at it that way, but there's people being affected by that, and I thought that was really impactful. It was much more impactful than the prior episode for me, and I'm liking these two characters more. Trace and Rafa. And Trace kicking some butt.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
that was surprising.
I thought it was her older sister for a second being interrogated, and then she goes and whoops them, but it was Trace. She's
very
pretty
clever,
very clever, very resourceful. So I gotta say, I did enjoy that episode. Now the Pikes look a lot like the aliens from Independence Day. Can we talk about that? I feel like that was something that inspired the artist for the Pikes. But I want to post a comparison of the Pikes and the Independence Day aliens, and you guys are gonna see what I'm talking about. They look very similar.
Now, will we get a Will Smith cameo? Probably not, but
I think Will Smith would be a great Jedi.
Oh, for sure.
Or kind of, or like a smuggler. He'd be cool. I'm picturing him as Hancock, though. I don't know why.
Oh, that's weird.
The super. You ever seen it?
No, but
it's on Netflix. Okay, that's it. Now, after we're done podcasting, we're gonna watch Hancock, so you can watch it. Not a terrible movie, but better than Bubble Boy. I will say that.
Hey.
So I think we all enjoyed that episode. We're moving closer to Maul. I can feel it. We're getting closer and closer to the underworld.
Something that we haven't touched on in this episode yet is the Mandalorians.
We did, yeah. So the whole point of them getting out was we saw, a robed figure with a helmet. Luke, do we recall who specifically those Mandalorian were? Are we even sure? Someone, I'm sure, has, the helmet memorized.
I knew right away that the main one was Bo-Katan.
That's right.
From watching the episode. And then my mind started racing because the other one who spoke to me, and I don't know if they did this on purpose. I don't know if they coached the voice actress to do this or not, but her voice sounded like the Armorers to me. From The Mandalorian.
Yes,
but then I watched the credits when they rolled to see what the characters' names were, and it confirmed that one was Bo-Katan and that the other was listed as Ursa Wren, who is Sabine's mom, and I gotta go do a baby check real quick, and I'll be back.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's funny because I just met Ursa Wren
today
in Rebels for the first time.
I'm really glad he mentioned that. And the thing is, too, is a lot of the voice work for this last season was already done before The Mandalorian was even a thing.
Yeah.
So that very well could have been the Armor, and we are picking up now off of that. In The Mandalorian and kind of learning more about that character, which would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking that could be Bo-Katan, and I it may be me, but I was thinking that she may jump out of the robe and have the Darksaber, and no, because no.
I'm sorry.
Hold on a
have
second.
I gotten that far yet?
Hold on a second. Could she? I'm gonna have to ask Luke for reference. No, you haven't got that far yet, Holly. But that's okay. But I don't think that's the case. But we'll find out. But maybe I'm not sure. I'll ask Luke for reference. But I think that was a really solid moment. We're gonna we have to be getting to Maul soon. We're the 12 episodes. We have 5 episodes to go.
You know what's so funny?
Yeah.
I was thinking. When we were watching Rebels earlier, and Sabine was telling her mom that she got the Darksaber from Maul, I was like, I actually wouldn't mind more content with Darth Maul in it.
Well, girl, you need to finish the Clone Wars.
Well, I'm finishing it. We're on season 7.
No, you need to go back and watch, him dividing Mandalore and conquering it. That's the good stuff that you're missing right now in that kind of context. But Luke, we were talking about Bo-Katan and her being robed there in the darkness. And a part of me was just like thinking she was going to lose the robe and whip out the Darksaber. But like my mind, I've watched so much Star Wars right now, and I'm losing my timelines. Is that even a possibility?
No. At this point, who has the Darksaber? Maul had it last time we saw it. At this point, because and the thing with Clone Wars, you never know what order these episodes are in. Yeah. So we know it's after Ahsoka left the Order, so we know it's after those events, that timeline.
Yep.
But I think before that happened is when Maul kind of got knocked off his perch at Mandalore.
Yeah.
So we don't know how long he held on to the Darksaber at that point.
That's a great point.
So I guess it's a bit of a mystery. And then when you think about where the Darksaber is in Rebels, it was still on Dathomir in Maul's little cave, wasn't it?
Yep.
So I guess he must have held on to it. So I don't think Bo-Katan could have the Darksaber at this point in the timeline. But you're right, with all this content coming out.
Oh my God.
At different times and like trying to keep it straight about what you're watching and when it takes place.
And then we just watched Rebels today and there's Sabine with it. And I'm just like, wait a second. Where the hell are we?
You know what we need?
Yes, a map.
Well, no.
Or a timeline on the wall.
Literally, I was just going to say that. We need a wraparound timeline in the studio that shows us all the books.
That sounds like a lot of work.
All the TV shows. Oh, I wouldn't do it. Somebody else would be doing that.
Pay some other artist to come in and do a timeline wrapping around the
I
studio.
would pay a fellow artist to do that.
That would be cool. I'd be down.
It would be cool.
Yeah, well, I think that would be very helpful.
Much less confusing.
At all times, I think we need to have one present. Maybe we just hold up the iPad and we can see where we are because we're everywhere. I'm reading books. I'm watching 2 television shows at the same time that are nowhere close to each other in time. It's very hard. And I've been watching the movies and The Rise of Skywalker. It's just a lot of Star Wars.
It's a lot of Star Wars.
I love it.
But it can get a little muddled at times.
It can. It can be. Yeah, it definitely can. You're absolutely right. So I think we all, loved the episode here, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into Maul and Mandalore. I can't believe I'm saying that. I think going back and watching, the Mandalorians and just the emotion with Sabine, it's making me appreciate Mandalore more and what's at stake and their heritage. I never usually really. I never used to appreciate it much, but I don't know. I was on the verge of tears, when we were watching Sabine's episode today. It was crazy. I was like, is that the sawdust, in my eyes, or am I emotional? And I think I was emotional. But it's so good, and I'm appreciating it much more now. It is very complicated, though, and I don't blame anyone for not really understanding Mandalorian history because it's crazy. But what really got me is when, her and Kanan were training, and he yelled at her, and he's just like, if you don't recall, the Jedi won the war. And she was just like really hurt by that. I know, it was really emotional.
But it was such a good moment.
Such a great moment.
I mean, sometimes you have to give people that tough love to get them to come out. That was what Sabine needed.
Phrasing.
Because then she pushed him all over the place.
She did. She really did. So I'm really appreciating that history more and understanding it more. And it's great that it's going to continue even in The Mandalorian. We're going to learn what the hell happened with the Darksaber. So I'm really looking forward to that. Could be more excited. Now, last but not least is that number 4 issue of the main line. Our heroes, if you recall, are on Bespin. They all are kind of running their own errands right now, right? They're back on Bespin. Leia's wanting to learn about, carbon freezing. Luke's out, in a trash pit looking for his lightsaber. Classic Luke, hunting through trash piles.
Knee deep in garbage.
He actually made a joke about it in the issue, and that was hysterical. I loved it. And we have Lando looking for Lobot. So everyone's kind of out doing their own thing. Most of them, all of them were successful other than Luke. Like Lando got to Lobot and freed him. He owed him a debt. Leia sure found out about carbon freezing. Am I right? That's a joke. That's a joke because she was frozen in the carbonite, if we all recall.
I think Luke was successful. It just depends on what
I was going to get to that, but he didn't find his saber, so to speak. Yeah, that's okay. Stole the moment, but that's fine. You knew where I was going with it. But yeah, so Luke didn't find his saber, but what he learned, he has these flashbacks, and we got to read the issue right before the episode here, but Luke sent me a couple of screenshots, and I zoomed in on them, and one was Luke's visions he was having.
I was going to ask what Luke sent you. Luke, what did you send Michael?
Oh, speaking of echoes, what this made me think of is again The Last Jedi and Luke having cut himself off from the Force. Like we were talking about earlier, this comic series picks up immediately after Empire Strikes Back. No gap whatsoever. They talk about here when he's searching for the lightsaber amongst the trash. He was like talking to the Ugnaughts.
Yeah.
And he was like, I was here a couple days ago. It fell down.
My
so this is
X-Wing's
you're
up
back
there.
on Bespin.
Yeah.
Literally a few days after Empire Strikes Back, which is something that they can pull off easier in these comic book series and filling in that little space between in the tiniest nooks and crannies.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to me that, Luke is really shaken by his encounter with Vader and the revelation to Vader that he's Anakin, he's his father, and he's basically admits he's kind of shut himself off from the Force a little bit. Yeah. And he tells Lando, like, oh, me and the Force haven't been on good terms, or what he says exactly is, the Force and I don't seem to be on very friendly terms right now. It's an interesting turn of phrase. But then he kind of flips the switch back on and has this wonderful vision where we see Vader, saying, well, where's my screenshot is a little off, but he sees Vader kind of like telling him to follow through with what Vader tempted him with in Empire Strikes Back, join me. Obi-Wan saying, the line from A New Hope that the lightsaber is the weapon of a Jedi. Yeah. And then this mysterious, confirmed to be now female character we saw in issue 2, I think, sort of calling out to Luke, and reaching out to him with a hand, kind of summoning him, beckoning him. He says, to follow your destiny. And then we get the Emperor with his line from Return of the Jedi saying, take your weapon. And, the part after that in Return of the Jedi is strike me down and, all that.
Luke has a good
Yoda's
Palpatine.
That's good. That was good.
Yoda's great line of your weapons, you will not need them, talking to him about going into the Force Cave on Dagobah. So a really beautifully drawn page of this, like all these major characters, Luke sensing them through the Force, their influence on him, which is a really powerful graphic. And then the mystery Jedi reaching out to him and summoning him to her, wherever she is. Really intriguing stuff to see where this is going to go, because I felt like they were really teasing us with the whole lightsaber thing, and I was really excited. Issue 2 or so, when they were dropping that in, and then in issue 3 they seemed to completely abandon it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that was just a tease, and they're not going to get back to maybe like 10 issues down the line or something like that. But the fact that they've gone back to it here and given us more of these juicy bits about it is really exciting to see what's coming forward.
Oh, it's so good. And the mystery woman is on a planet with, was it red rocks and blue water? Was that what they said? Or
who is she?
I don't.
Who is she?
I have no clue.
Any guesses?
I thought we were onto something when we last talked about this. We'll call it a character, a vision, or whatever. And Luke thinking, maybe it's just, like with Rey and seeing herself as maybe it was, temptation or whatever it was. We see Luke have that trial though, on Dagobah. So it's hard to think that maybe that's something he's still grappling with. But it feels like it's, I don't know, like it's an actual. It's the force, the sense of somebody. It's their spirit or something. I don't know if it's a person.
I don't know. And then I was like, well, the robes are off for it to be like Padme or like somebody else like reaching back out to him. So I don't.
Is it another Jedi in isolation?
It could be.
We've seen other Jedi, like I mentioned earlier in the Darth Vader comic. There are other Jedi out there. So could it be, I don't know, that they're sensing, or maybe they've actually been learning from, Yoda all along too. Who knows?
So you think maybe we'll meet a new Jedi?
It's likely, because they've done that in the past with multiple comic book lines. So it wouldn't surprise me, but I'll be honest, that was a 180 for me, because I thought Luke was really onto it about this just being a battle of Luke and himself. And maybe he's not understanding it, but he definitively said it was a female. And so that, I thought that was fascinating. And he has the moment where he just kind of, he sees all these things, maybe some things he misinterpreted. And we know that happens. So, stops looking for the lightsaber, right? Leaves the Ugnaughts, goes to help Leia.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Can I read some of that line when he decides to sort of end his search for the lightsaber?
Yes,
because that's
so good.
I think some of the best part of this comic, and it reminds me of some of my favorite parts of these comics is when they get into kind of the philosophy of the Jedi more. There was that line from the Kylo Ren series where Luke talked about anyone can access the Force. Yeah, and you can't be strong in the Force or weak in the Force. You just have to let it flow through you. And some people's door of flow starts a little more open than other people's does. I thought that was brilliant. And here he's talking about sort of abandoning his search for the lightsaber, and he said a Jedi isn't his lightsaber. A lightsaber is just a tool. A Jedi is someone who uses the Force to bring light to the galaxy, to protect people and push back the darkness. That particular lightsaber, the one I lost, I don't need it. It was my father's, but I'm not sure how I feel about that anymore. I'm going to be a Jedi. Even if I never see that lightsaber again.
Oh,
It's mind up.
It's so good. And you actually, Holly, while watching Rebels, pointed out when Kanan and Sabine were training, Kanan was ahead of his time.
Oh, yeah.
He explained the Force just as Luke Skywalker did, how it's in all of us, you really just need to be open to letting it flow through you.
Yeah, he said, which is funny that Luke brought this up, because I also wanted to bring this up
Yep.
because we had just watched it in Rebels, and I think verbatim I said what Luke said about, like, that was one of my favorite moments because I love to, like, learn about the philosophy behind it, and we don't get very much of that. I actually said to Michael, so Kanan and Sabine have a moment where they're training, and Sabine's like, I know how to fight. I know how to use these things. And she's like, I don't need to use the Force, or like whatever she says. And Kanan's like, everybody like has the Force in them. It's in every living thing. And then he goes on to tell her, like, you can know how to use the tool, but ultimately, like, it's like what's inside and how you decide to use it that matters. And I thought that was like a very powerful moment because I don't really feel like we get a lot of that in the movies, you know? And I feel like it is these TV shows and the comics where we learn a lot of that content.
And it's great that I feel like we're in like a vergence of the Force where all this material we're all consuming right now is very interconnected. And it's so beautiful. It's so freaking beautiful. And
it makes sense.
It really does. And that was a very mature moment, you know, of Luke Skywalker. And it was really funny that Luke mentioned him talking to the Ugnaughts. God, I am so tired. The Ugnaughts, because we were reading it, Holly, and he's just like, yeah, guys, while we're here, can I go get my X-Wing too? I left it here. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
Luke, like,
I want to talk about that.
Like your X-Wing is left over here the last time you were here.
And then
but then it was there, and like he told the Ugnaughts a couple days ago we were here. I was like, oh my God, yeah, it happens immediately. Like, it was crazy. But his X-Wing's just sitting there all ready to take off. Like, I could not believe it.
I have a question for you too about that, because I never gave any thought about the X-Wing, because he flies it there from Dagobah, obviously, and then he leaves via the Falcon. You know, they pick him up after his hand's been chopped off and he's hanging there, and he calls out to Leia, and so his X-Wing's left behind. And then in Return of the Jedi, when you see them leave Tatooine, he goes off back to Dagobah to check in on Yoda. I never wondered if it was the same X-Wing he had before or not.
Yeah.
Did any of you ever question like which X-Wing that was?
I assumed it was Red 5.
If I ever did, I probably would have just assumed he just got a different one. But I guess they're answering here like, no, it's the same X-Wing he had from like the first Death Star. Yeah, he got it back. That was really surprising to me.
That never crossed my mind until this comic. I don't know why. You just
accepted that he had an X-Wing available and it was the same one?
I mean, I guess I can let every plot hole slip by me, and I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense.
But I mean, I don't know. Poe Dameron's losing X-Wings like crazy, so he gets a new one every other episode.
They at least changed the color scheme on his.
That's true. That's true. I think he's been, riding Red 5 from day one, and it survives the waters of Octu too.
I just finished my second watch of Rise of Skywalker since the home release. So I've seen it 3 times now, folks. The count is climbing. Okay, I told you when this thing came out on home video, I was just gonna watch it nonstop for like months, and I will.
By 2030, you'll have seen it 5 times.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But in the scene where Rey is flying to Exegol, and the people back on the jungle planet, which I don't yet know the name of, where the Resistance is based, R2 starts getting a signal from Master Luke, he says, is what R2 says, and C-3PO says, that's like absurd, that's nonsense, how could you be getting a signal from Master Luke? And they reference it as, oh, it's Red 5. Red 5 is signaling back.
So good.
Which makes you think, it's the same X-Wing.
Absolutely. The whole time.
From A New Hope on, which, again, I never thought of, like, did he get the X-Wing back from Bespin ever? But here it is, and it's just a fun little answer.
But these pilots in Star Wars have such a strong emotional connection to their ships. Yeah. I mean, we see it with Hera in Rebels.
That's right.
I mean, you clearly see it with Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon, Lando and the Millennium Falcon, and Luke in Red 5, right?
Oh, yeah. He was just storing it in the water on Octu. That was, for safekeeping.
Yeah, it was like a security blanket.
It was like
Yeah.
preservation.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah. There must
like
be
a jar
something
of
weird about the
formaldehyde.
metal. It stays, it's fine in
No rust?
salt water.
Sure.
I guess so. I mean, it flew beautifully. Did Ray let that dry out? Like, how long did she have to wait for that to dry out?
Not long.
Or is there a feature, dry out
No, her
button?
She had no
butt was
time.
just so
Oh.
swampy.
Yeah, she's like,
Swampy butt the whole ride.
I got a 3-hour flight to Exegol. This is gonna be terrible.
That'd be awful.
I need some butt paste.
Ew.
I know. Great product, by the way.
Ew.
Yeah, that's not a plug. We're not paid. It's just a great product, and you heard it here.
That would be so funny if when she lands on that Exegol, like each step is leaving like a squishy wet mark.
And
on
then
the
there's
ground.
product placement. She's like, butt paste.
That is
Yeah.
a detail the comics would not have left out.
Hey, maybe. Who knows? I don't know. She was completely dry.
But she didn't have any time. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, either did,
Maybe that's a Jedi
Ben
power.
Solo.
Force drying.
force dry. Yeah, probably.
Sure.
Yeah. I think it probably is, Like
Makes sense.
Maybe they shake really rapidly like a dog, and they're good to go. I don't know. Something like that. That was a good joke, Michael. Thanks. So Luke has this moment. He meets up with Lando again. Lando has freed Lobot, which is great. And now, Leia's in carbonite. How the hell are we going to get out of there? There were really great moments, I have to say, with the stormtroopers. I'm loving this humor that they're giving stormtroopers lately. I know we saw some in Rebels. We saw some in The Mandalorian, too. I'm loving how they're putting that same humor in the comic books. It's been fantastic. Like, one of them, I was standing by, the carbonite, because there was multiple people frozen in carbonite that they were transporting out, right? Prisoners of some sort or whatever. And one of them says, "Do you think they're cold in there?" And he's like, I could care less. It was just really funny. I'm really loving that humor. But they have a moment with some Luke really showing his great force powers, and we're seeing him in action, which is fantastic, because these are moments, a lot of people, you get to see some of it in the original trilogy, but you don't get to see it kind of in later Star Wars movies. These are moments where they're really great, and Luke, there's three or more stormtroopers there guarding all these people in carbonite, and he just lifts all their weapons up, and and it's just a great moment. He's really masterful now at this point and able to use that manipulation of the Force. But
I loved it when I think it was Lando, and he was like, Who did that?
Who
and
did
then
that?
Luke was like, it was me. I used the
the
Force.
Force. Yeah, that was probably my least favorite part. I didn't feel like he needed to explain himself, but I'll take it, because you were right. Because I said that when we were reading the book, and it's all because Lando didn't realize that him and the Force were back on good terms now at this point, right?
It had
It's
to
like, wait,
be
I thought-
explained, I guess.
Had to be explained. I use the Force. It's cool. We're all good here. Everyone's fine. How are you, so to speak?
Kind of, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
and then he knew.
But
Luke's back.
Luke's back. So Luke, uses the Force. He unfreezes everyone out of carbonite. And I love this, because my first thought was, okay, they're all frozen in carbonite. Leia here frozen in carbonite. She's obviously gonna have, what did they call it? Oh God, the sickness. I forget. Hibernation sickness. Just like, we're gonna have to see her take 20 minutes just to get Leia to snap out of it and get her out of here, right? Oh no, she hadn't been frozen long enough. It's cool. She snaps right out of it, just like everyone else who's held captive. And they pick up those blasters from the stormtroopers, and apparently she has new rebels, and recruits all of them in the moment.
That's a good way to. Frozen in
I
carbonite by
saved
the
you.
Empire?
Yeah.
Join us.
Yeah. It was, we just saved you. Now this is your life debt, pretty much. You're joining us. You don't really have a choice. But I loved, so we get off planet, right, and we're with the new rebels, right, and they're all thanking Lando. Thank you, Baron Master, for coming back. We thought you all abandoned us, but you came back and you joined the rebels, and you came here to save us. It was a really sly moment, and of course I'm just here to do.
Classic Lando.
It really was. So there's a lot of really cool moments, some silly ones. With the hyperspace, or the hibernation sickness.
I do have to ask.
Yeah.
At the end of the comic, we do have the lightsaber come back, and I have to know what Luke thought of the Ugnaught finding the lightsaber.
Oof.
It was a really fun several frames, and it's going on during that passage that I read earlier about, like, it's a funny juxtaposition with Luke talking so seriously about what a lightsaber means versus what a Jedi means,
Yeah.
and it just being a tool. And meanwhile, you see the Ugnaught in the like garbage pit area as all those lines from Luke are coming across each frame, and it's funny because you see the stormtroopers that Luke knocked out the window earlier fall down and almost land on him, and he's like
Yeah.
running out of the way. It's a funny, um, use of the seriousness of what Luke's talking about with what a lightsaber means and what a Jedi means versus this slightly comical scene with the Ugnaught trying to not to get crushed by falling stormtroopers, and just who doesn't love Ugnaughts in general, especially in renewed popularity from Mandalorian Queel. So
Absolutely.
that was fun stuff.
I
Who
love.
knows? Maybe this Ugnaught we're looking at is Queel. Who knows?
Oh my god.
That would be wicked.
Full circle.
Can you imagine?
That'd be amazing.
One thing I also did love was the way Luke described the lightsaber to him. Yeah, it's a cylinder. It's got some buttons on it. Some grips. I don't know. I don't know why I loved
You
it
might
so
have
much.
seen it with me 4 days ago.
Yeah, you might have seen me in there, trying to save the day. Got my butt whooped. But yeah, we found your hand, by the way. Yeah,
Ew.
I know. That would have been funnier, I thought. Was this your hand that you lost? But no, not so much. Mm-hmm. Not so much. But yeah, I'm really enjoying that line. It's been pretty solid. The trip to Bespin wasn't as bad as I had thought, other than the hibernation sickness with Leia, and I loved her explanation. Well, God, yeah, I really needed to find out, what the process was, so when I go and find Han, I'll know what to do. And
that doesn't seem like a characteristically Princess Leia thing to do, because she didn't have a plan to get out of that situation.
Yeah, and I don't feel like she wasn't even the one who got all of them out of carbonite, right? So what exactly did she learn? I thought that was kind of silly.
She would have been stuck.
She would, well, yeah, exactly.
She would have gotten hibernation sickness.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of silly. I wasn't the biggest fan of that, but overall the story itself, I wasn't displeased with. We may have lost Luke.
Yeah, but I think I don't know. Overall, I've really been enjoying the comics, and so I think that I've been pretty happy with the storyline that it's telling us, and
Absolutely.
filling in some of the gaps, and clearly with Red 5, some of the things that I didn't even think about before. So
Absolutely. We may have lost Luke, so I may actually try calling him in here so he can say any final words, but we'll see if he answers or not. He might not. It may have been an emergency. You'll just have 2 images of Holly.
great.
It's really great. One's really zoomed in, and the one isn't so much.
Perfect.
I love it.
Great.
We'll wait for Luke and see if he wants to come back. But yeah, like I said, it's been a really fun line. I think it's worth reading. It's only a once a month issue, so it doesn't happen too often. But I will say this, guys: the new Vader line is out now. 2 issues of it are out. I'm behind. I am going to get caught up on it. We're going to talk about it here because, man, I have loved the Vader stuff, and I'm really hoping we can learn a little more about Vader. And I'm loving the artwork I've seen so far from it. It's really amazing. I think we'll even see some more Padme stuff, which would be really exciting. So I'm super looking forward to that. Anything else, Holly,
I don't
that
think
is
so.
going on comic book wise, Star Wars
I'm
wise?
just trying to finish Rebels,
Yes.
but not too quickly because I want to, I don't know,
savor it,
relish
right?
it. Yeah.
Just wait till season 4. Holy cow. We
Oh,
might have to
boy.
watch a couple episodes tonight just to get you caught up.
That's right.
But it's super great. Guys, I hope you're enjoying all the Star Wars content out there right now. The Clone Wars has been really solid. Check out some of these comic books because I really think they're worth your while. And I loved we had this little Virgins of the Force today where all this just kind of connected, and it made for a really great conversation. Super looking forward to Kenobi. And Brent, that was an awesome email. Guys, I want to hear more from you. There's a lot of stuff going on in the Facebook group, a lot of chatter there. So let us know what you're thinking about Kenobi. What are you excited for? What's holding you over until we get more Mandalorian? Any other thoughts on the Rise of Skywalker? I know I have more. I know Luke has more. I know Holly has more. So we're going to keep kind of filtering through all that conversation and thought process. But
go ahead and online order your copy of Bloodline and then let it quarantine for 3 days before you unwrap it and read it.
Well, now's the time to start out those audiobooks if you haven't already, right, Holly?
Actually, super cool plug for anybody's local library.
Come on.
You can just go online, rent an audiobook from any of the libraries in the U.S. if yours doesn't have a copy available, and you can listen to it pretty much immediately.
Absolutely. It's at least our, Metropolitan Library does that, and a lot of others do, so you can get it for free.
Yep.
Bloodline's been out for a while, so it's not likely a hot commodity, so you should probably have a copy of it available. It's one of the best new canon novels out there, so I know you guys are going to enjoy it. If you haven't read it already, I know Holly's going to enjoy it. I know she loves the Leia stuff she's reading in the new canon novels, and this is just going to win her over, I think. A little bit of Ben Solo, some Han, some Leia. It's really great. Really great stuff. So, guys, get on reading that. We'll send out a date soon to get that book club going. We'll probably most likely is going to be another Skype session, so we'll have to. We're fine tuning things here with Skype, and we're back in. We're in the studio now. You're going to start seeing some more decorations out. We're going to be sharing those with you guys, getting this place up and running for sure. But guys, I think that probably does it for us. Unfortunately, Luke couldn't send you his salutations, but we'll speak for him, and it's been a fun episode, and enjoy this episode. Keep each other safe. Be like Wade and his family. Do what you can for others. If that's giving a roll of toilet paper to your neighbor, which may be me in the future.
Who knows? That casual fam call to action.
Absolutely. You get out there, help your fellow man, and just, like we said, be a good person, and spread that joy and share that experience with us. Share it in the Facebook group. We'd love to hear from you guys, what you're doing, what you're able to do. Unfortunately, right now, I've had to finish this floor, but we'd like to see what we can do for others around us. And we want to hear from you guys as well. So get in that group, share those stories, send us your emails at flyingcasualcast@gmail.com. Send us a voicemail, get in that group. Do whatever it is you can to interact with us, Holly, because we're isolated. We're self-isolating.
Yeah, that's right. We're desperate.
We could use some more interaction.
True.
And some toilet paper.
Send it our way.
Send it our way, guys. If you hit me up, DM me. I'll send you the address. Send us a roll. Keep flying casually. Have a good week.